Call Windows for Less.
Now at 6, a Freeman Hospital pediatrician talks about the effects of COVID-19 on the younger population. And we'll tell you about cloud kitchens and how they're giving you different eating options without physical locations.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Freeman Health System pediatricians say the Delta variant has led to more COVID-19 cases in kids. This is KOIM News at 6. The doctors say the increase stems from the Delta variant being more contagious among kids. When it comes to severity, it depends on the child. Officials say you should get your child tested if they show any symptom of COVID.
There is speculation about that. I was recently reading about that. And when kids can't tell you their symptoms very specifically like adults can, it's really hard to figure that out.
Pediatricians at Freeman do not administer COVID vaccines, but they can refer patients to someone who can. The Oklahoma Supreme Court has agreed to expedite an appeal of a temporary restraining order that limits a state ban on mask mandates in public schools. The court, in an order dated Wednesday, gave Attorney General John O'Connor 20 days to file legal briefs in support of the appeal and opponents 20 days to respond. O'Connor is appealing a district judge's injunction against the mask mandate ban, which leaves in place the option to opt out of masking requirements for personal reasons. The Oklahoma State Medical Association president, Dr. Mary Clark, called the appeal disappointing. Carl Junction police and state authorities are investigating the overnight detonation of a pipe bomb. Happened around 2 this morning in the yard of a home on the 1100 block of York. That's near Center Creek Park in Carl Junction. Police say someone on a dirt bike style motorcycle stopped in front of the home and threw the pipe bomb into the yard where it detonated. Police say no one was hurt. They've contacted the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms to help in the investigation. Nick Kelly joins us now with a first look at the weather.
That's a pretty good first check of the weather, Dow. We've had quiet skies all day long, a bit warm with upper 80s, maybe a few spots near 90 for highs, but the skies are still looking about as quiet as they can be as we continue to get this Friday evening underway. I don't have anything on the radar, at least in our area, but a bit of a wider view with the satellite and radar view. It's actually showing a couple of storms out in north central parts of Kansas and a few trying to get going, especially in northern parts of Missouri and toward Leavenworth, Kansas City, and about Topeka. I think that's where the rain chances are going to stay as we go through the rest of the evening. So we are definitely looking like we're in good shape with temperatures in the mid to upper 80s at the top of the hour. And once we get past sunset, we'll drop to 74 by 10, 71 by midnight. And looking pretty good for the overnight, Dow, with lows around 65. We just got to get past a pretty warm weekend before some fall-like air will finally start working in. Full forecast in a bit.
All right, catch you then. Dining options are increasing in Joplin even without new restaurants being built. That's because some popular eateries are setting up ghost kitchens in Joplin and allowing folks to order takeout and delivery. The concept is relatively simple. An out-of-town restaurant strikes a deal with a local restaurant and uses the local kitchen to prepare food that can be ordered online. Famous Dave's Barbecue is doing that in Joplin and has set up shop inside Johnny Carino's on Rangeline.
So far so good. Everyone's liked it. We mainly cater to like hospitals, a couple of the Mercy clinics around here, a couple churches and stuff. Everyone seems to like it and they always call back and order more.
We're going to hear what the Joplin Area Chamber of Commerce thinks about local ghost kitchens tonight at 10. Brings us to today's KOIM News Now Instapoll question. We want to know how you feel about food delivery versus eating in a restaurant. You can give your opinion on a scale. Do you always get food delivered, always eat at the restaurant, or is it somewhere in between? Let us know right now at koimnewsnow.com/vote or through the KOIM News Now app. Results are updated live, and we're going to check in on the numbers a little bit later. The playground at the Carl Junction Primary School is going to become a bit more inclusive. The Arvest Foundation today donated nearly $11,000 to the CJ Educational Fund. The foundation, the money will pay for a new spinner at the school playground. The spinner is like a merry-go-round, but at ground level, so that even kids with wheelchairs can enjoy the fun.
because it truly lets everybody play together independently. They can take part, even if they're very limited with their physical abilities, they can take part with everybody else.
This is part of a larger Power of Play project at CJ schools intended to make the district's playgrounds more inclusive. Freeman Health System is celebrating Neonatal Nurses Week by unveiling a new program. Freeman's NICU is creating a donor breast milk program. Children in the NICU might not have access to their mother's breast milk, so this program helps to provide the same nutrients necessary for the baby's development. Studies suggest giving babies human milk instead of formula helps lessen the risk of infections and diseases. The World Health Organization says that if a baby cannot receive his or her mother's milk, then donated human milk is the next best option.
I would say there would be a lot number of babies that will be needing that. Almost, I would say, about 1/3 to about half of the babies that we have in the NICU currently will benefit from donor breast milk.
Freeman is partnering with St. Luke's Heart of America Mother's Milk Bank on the project. Still ahead, a Kansas City area officer is killed in a shooting. Tonight, we're going to hear from some of the people who knew him well. And later, a couple of big rivalry games on tonight's Friday night football slate. We're going to preview Webb City's matchup with Carthage in sports.
There was a time when these kids didn't.
Authorities say an Independence, Missouri police officer who was still in training after graduating from the police academy in July has died after being shot. They say the shooter was a wanted man who opened fire on officers and was also killed. The Independence Police Department announced late Wednesday that 22-year-old officer Blaze Madrid Evans died following the Wednesday morning shooting. The Missouri State Highway Patrol says 2 officers went to a residence in Independence in response to a call to dispatch and were met by a man who fired a handgun at them. Police say Madrid Evans was shot and the other officer returned fire. The Highway Patrol says the man who fired at the officers, later identified as 33-year-old Cody Harrison of Gladstone, was pronounced dead at the scene. Tonight, reporter Nathan Vickers speaks with some of those who knew Officer Madrid Evans the best.
People around Smithville are feeling a loss today.
This was a family member.
Dan Uladol hired Blaze Madrid Evans at Chops Barbecue as a 17-year-old kid.
He came in looking for a job. He started in the kitchen for quite a while there. He was one of my #1 guys working the line.
He remembers a hard-working young man with a kind heart who talked about pursuing a career in the military or other public service.
I was proud of him, and I knew he was going to do well. Whatever he wanted to do, he was going to be the best he could be at it.
The young man's school community is remembering him today, too. Jennifer Robinson and Stacy Sapp both worked with him as he was finishing up at Smithville High School in the Northland CAPS program. They showed us pictures of him volunteering at nursing homes and other places in the community.
It was such a shock when I heard what had happened.
I'm just proud of him, and I'm just sad this happened. It's awful.
Uladol and others want people to remember the young man they knew as a friend.
It hurts to have a loss like this.
The Independence, Missouri Fraternal Order of Police is planning fundraisers to benefit Officer Madrid Evans' family. Later, the latest edition of the Silver Tiger rivalry as Lamar and Nevada face off on the field. We'll have a preview in sports.
But first, we'll break down our warm weekend still lined up for us and fall-like air ready to roll in next week. Forecast up next.
Being a community bank.
We had a pretty quiet start to our weekend so far, and temperatures have stayed on the warm side as well, at least a little bit cooler compared to the highs near 90 that we saw on yesterday. For the area yesterday, I should say. But after we dropped back near 67 this morning, the highest number I've seen so far, a drop from regional, was 89 degrees. A few spots managed to hit 90 once again today. But even though it was warm, kind of hot, it wasn't too terribly humid. We're going to keep fairly warm as we go through the rest of our weekend, but I'm really watching our next strong front on the way in with rain and storms from Monday and Tuesday. And once we get behind that front, plenty of fall-like air just waiting for us. We've been asking for it since the start of September, but it is on the way, certainly as we kick off fall next Wednesday. Outside right now, though, looking okay from 7th and Range Line. We call that a mostly sunny sky. 86 in Joplin. Only feels a hair warmer thanks to a dew point around 64. Only feels like 87. Again, hardly humid. This is still looking pretty good for any outdoor plants, and certainly for the football games, almost ready to get going this evening. Mid-80s from Iola over to Stockton Lake and back down to Table Rock, and then the rest of the region mainly in the mid to upper 80s. Feels just a little bit warmer, upper 80s to near 90. Again, just due to that slight bump in the humidity, but still looking good for the rest of the evening. We'll keep skies mostly clear. Let's go 79 by 8 o'clock. A quick drop once we get past sunset for sure. 71 by midnight. I'm thinking overnight lows in the mid-60s as we roll into your Saturday morning. We, again, kept quiet under partly to mostly sunny skies this afternoon, but we are seeing a couple of isolated, widely scattered storms once you hop northwest of the Kansas Turnpike. And even the wider picture shows the storm chances extending from the northern sides of the Kansas City metro, almost St. Joseph, all the way up in the northern parts of Missouri. That's actually along the front. That's going to stay just to the north this evening, but even as it tries to head our way tomorrow, it's going to fall apart as it does. So I'm not expecting a lot of action, if any, from the front as we go into the rest of the night and into Saturday. And not to mention this upper level ridge. It's not going to really allow this upper level low to bring us any rain chances for the weekend, but that is going to keep us quite warm with upper 80s to near 90 for the next few days. But at least we're looking good for this evening. Here's 7 o'clock, kickoff for the football games. Everyone mainly in the mid 80s. At 9 o'clock, final snap, mid to upper 70s, and all the time in between looking still good for the football games around here. And we'll keep quiet for the rest of the overnight as lows drop back into the mid 60s with mostly clear skies up top. So we'll start the day with a light east breeze and lows around 65. Throughout the day tomorrow, let's go mostly sunny, and with a light breeze, we'll quickly go to 84 by noon. Joplin topping out around 88, and most of us mid to upper 80s for your Saturday afternoon highs. Beyond Saturday, again, I'll keep an eye on this wandering upper level low underneath the ridge, but you can see how it's going to keep the vast majority, if not all the rain chances to our south and east. So we'll keep things dry for the weekend. But here's Monday. The next strong wave out west brings in the strong cold front with some rain and thunderstorm chances late Monday into Tuesday morning. And behind that, you can see how it really forces the jet off to our south and to the west. That'll mean temperatures around 88 Saturday and Sunday. Let's go 91 on Monday. But once we get on the backside of the front dial, 73 for Tuesday afternoon, 53 for Wednesday morning, 75 for Wednesday, and even with lower 80s by Thursday and Friday, that is fall like air we've been asking for since the start of the month, and it is on the way.
Yeah, loving those high temperatures, and the overnight chill will be nice.
Sounds really good to me.
Thanks, Nick. Coming up in sports, a couple of big high school football rivalry games tonight in the 4 states. Jacob Leonard is going to join us live from Carthage to preview the Tigers COC showdown with Webb City. That's straight ahead.
Nick Kelly is during September.
Well, tonight is a big night of high school football here in the 4 states with rivalry games all over the place. None bigger, though, than this one here in Carthage tonight with the hometown Tigers hosting the Webb City Cardinals. Now here's the tale of the tape on these two teams. Webb City is 2-1, while Carthage aims to stay unbeaten tonight, coming in with a 3-0 record. Both teams have had no problem scoring, posting nearly 50 points per game. Defensively, Webb City's giving up 27 per game so far, while Carthage has only given up 28 total points through 3 games. Elsewhere in Missouri, the Nevada Tigers host the Lamar Tigers tonight. Danny Terzer gives us a look at the latest edition of the Silver Tiger rivalry.
It started a long time ago. Lamar and Nevada have been playing against each other since 1933.
The Silver Tiger rivalry is rich in tradition and history.
It's just interesting hearing the stories from the guys that, going back into the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s.
This 2021 matchup makes for a good story, too.
This has got to be one of the most highly anticipated Silver Tiger games, just due to the fact that both of us have had some early season success. They're 3-0, we're 3-0, and I don't know if that's ever happened in the history of the Silver Tiger game. So there's going to be a lot riding on this one.
Both teams are averaging more than 40 points per game.
Our defense is going to have their hands full. Extremely physical downhill run game. They are they are a run-first team, and they got a lot of cats to hand the ball off to.
I think for us it's possession of the ball. I mean, they've got an explosive offense. We need to have sustained drives. We need to keep the ball out of their hands. And I think also one thing that a lot of teams haven't been able to do is force them to punt a lot. We've got to get some stops on defense.
Their strengths on offense are nearly identical.
The offensive line's playing extremely well. We're playing downhill, and our backs are running hard, physical, not being brought down by one tackler.
I think we just have a combination of a good offensive line that plays hard and backs that are difficult to tackle in space.
The Silver Tiger has been in Lamar's possession since 2005, but Nevada is focused on more than just reclaiming the trophy.
We're just trying to take it as another step towards trying to get to a Big 8 conference championship.
Danny Terzer, KOAM Sports.
Elsewhere in Missouri tonight, in Kansas, the Columbus Titans are on the road for a CNC showdown against Girard. Girard aims to get to 3-0 while Columbus tries to get to 2-1 on the year. That game, like most across the area tonight, begins at 7 o'clock. Moving on to the NFL now, the Kansas City Chiefs are 1-0 to start the season. Last week they won their opener against Cleveland 33-29. This week they play their first primetime game of the season, hitting the road on Sunday night to face the Baltimore Ravens. Now, like we do here every Friday night, right now it's time to hear from the voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holthus, in this week's Minute with Mitch.
This week, it's a Sunday night showdown with the Ravens in Baltimore. Well, how'd your fantasy draft go? I was asked this summer, about 10,000 times, what about McCole Hardman? Who will the Chiefs' second wide receiver be behind Tyreek Hill? I knew right away it was a fantasy football question. The reality answer is that the Chiefs' number 2 wide receiver is Travis Kelce. Although Kelce's listed as a tight end, he lined up 30% of the time in 2020 as a wide receiver, or technically an ISO Y. Moreover, the past 2 years, Patrick Mahomes has targeted Travis Kelce 81 times as the ISO Y. And overall, Mahomes has targeted Kelce a whopping 281 times the past 2 years. Ask for a redraft in your fantasy league and select Travis Kelce as your WR2 on this Minute with Mitch. The Minute with Mitch is brought to you by Como Jewelry. Every day's game day, Como Jewelry, Pittsburgh, Joplin.
Sunday's Chiefs-Ravens game begins at 7:20. Before we get to that, though, we have a huge night of high school football here in the 4 states. Rivalry games everywhere. Webb City and Carthage playing here. We have Lamar, Nevada, and even in southeast Kansas, Girard and Columbus, and of course St. Paul plays Yates Center. That's a big one in an 8-man. We'll have all the highlights and scores from all across the area tonight on 4 State Friday night on KOAM at 10. Well, that's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this.
Take time now to honor a local veteran. John Paul and Fred Joe Akers served in the U.S. Navy. The men fought in World War II, the Korean War, and the Vietnam War. And we are proud to salute John Paul and Fred Joe Akers, tonight's 4 State heroes. Jordan Obby joins us now with a look at what's coming up tonight on KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14.
Tonight at 9, going to have more on the cloud kitchen concepts growing in Joplin. Restaurants using someone else's kitchen instead of building a place for themselves. Also, reaction to an advisory panel rejecting a Pfizer booster shot plan. And going to show you, as much as we can, how some cows are being potty trained. That, of course, much more. Coming your way tonight. KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14.
Yeah, potty training cows. We're going to check on tonight's KOAM News Now Instant Poll question. Now, we want to know, how do you feel about food delivery versus eating in a restaurant? Give your opinion on a sliding scale. One extreme is you always get food delivered. The other is you always eat at a restaurant. You can see right now, it's right in the middle someplace, leading slightly toward dine-in. We're going to keep this poll open through until about 10:15 tonight, so you do have plenty of time to vote. You just go to our website, koamnewsnow.com/vote, or you can vote through the KOAM News Now mobile app. For those of you about to head out to your local high school football game, it's warm, but otherwise not too bad.
Yeah, we'll keep quiet for this evening. Temperatures you see will be in the low to mid 80s at the kickoff. Final snap, we'll be back into the 70s, and then looking good for the rest of our weekend. Highs of around 88 for Saturday and Sunday.
See you right back here at 10. Let's make it a great evening.